Okay, so I'll email you individually later today about what you have missed and what you can submit for additional grade. Okay, so if you have missed the homework, I'll give you 50% for it, and you submit it, and provided that everything is correct. And if you missed the quiz, then I'll give you the full credit for it. Okay, now I will make everything available over the weekend. So you're basically going to have like both Saturday and Sunday to submit all of that to me. Saturday and Sunday. Okay. Does that make sense? Those first 2 points. Is that clear? Okay, cool. So then number three, we have a final exam on Friday. Right? So Friday the 9th, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have final exam on Friday, December the 9th, which means I check my schedule. We're gonna have 2 classes more. So today, and then Monday, and then Wednesday. Okay. So 3 more classes, right? Before that in the semester. Today, Monday, Wednesday. Okay. Question in the chat. I thought it was supposed to be Wednesday. Okay, did I say Wednesday? Let's see. Am I making a mistake here? Hold on. Yeah, so let's check. Let's check. Final exam, mark your calendar. Wednesday, December the 7th. You're right. Yeah, thank you, Regan. You're right. Yeah, definitely please check all the dates because I make a lot of mistakes here. Yes, so final exam will be on Wednesday, December the 7th, 8:30 to 9 to 10:30. Okay, so thank you so much. So we're gonna have 2 more classes today and on Monday. The final exam will be on Wednesday. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna study regular material today. Sorry. And then final exam on Wednesday. Okay. So we're gonna study regular material today. Then on Monday, we will have a review. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go over both of the midterms. I'm gonna explain every single question, like how they should be answered. And please bring your questions. Okay, midterm number 1, midterm number 2, and please bring your questions. Okay. And then, yeah, and then on Wednesday, we're gonna have the final exam. Okay, final exam. Well, we'll discuss it on Monday. Okay, but the most important thing is that final exam is comprehensive. Okay, which means you need to learn everything we studied in this class. Okay, everything. Everything. Okay. If for the first midterm you had something like, I don't know, 70%. For the second midterm you had, let's say, I don't know, 80%. Okay, and then for the final you get, let's say, 90%. Then according to the syllabus, this grade is going to replace one of the lowest midterm grades. For example, well, in this case it's 70, right? So this 70 will become this 90. And it will significantly boost your grade, your final grade, and you'll get basically 2 for the price of 1, which is very nice. Okay, if you have like 70 here and then 60 on the final, then of course it's not going to help you. So this is not going to replace anything. Question in the chat. Yeah, so what if you do bad, right? Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. So if it's actually like really bad grade, like 60, then it's not going to replace anything because it will not be in your favor. Okay, so the whole idea behind this is actually to help you, not not to make it worse. Okay, so it is comprehensive. You need to study everything. I would definitely recommend studying the quizzes, and I would definitely recommend studying the midterms. Some of the questions from the midterms will definitely appear in the final. That's what I can guarantee you. I will reuse some of them. Okay, right, perfect, cool, awesome. So, okay, what do you guys have any questions about like those 5 things? Question in the chat. How can you see all the quizzes? Good question. Good question. So, if you go to a Blackboard, okay, so now if I go to student mode, now if I go to course tools, then if I go to tests and quizzes, test surveys and pools. No, hold on. No. Course tools. Hold on. Yeah, okay, now hold on. So if I go to Blackboard to our class, I think you would go to tools. Yes, you'd go to tools. And then here, where you have like 2 columns, you would go to grades, my grades. My grades. Okay, so please do it right now and tell me what you see. So I think you should see grades, and I think you should be able to click on them. You should be able like assignment grade, assignment grade, assignment grade, and you should be able to click on them. Tell me if you see that. Okay, Regan says that she sees it. Final grade is like 2620 out of 3600. Yeah, so this is not reliable. This is not reliable. Hava says I can see it too. Perfect, perfect. That's good. So Sarah, what you see there as a final grade, that's that's something Blackboard calculates, and that's something like which is completely off. Okay, so it doesn't take care of the weights. You should see on the Blackboard, you should see something which is called let me tell you, hold on. I can actually share the screen because it shows all of your grades. Okay, so there should be a column on the Blackboard which is called current final grade, and you should see the percentage there and then the letter. Current final grade, current final grade. It's called exactly that way, and that's what's actually accurate. That's what's calculated according to the weights in the syllabus. You guys see it? It's called current final grade. Sarah says shows nothing, just A minus. Okay, hold on. So, okay, if you go to Blackboard again, go to the very top right, top right. You would see your name there. Then if you click on this triangle, and then here you should see your grades, my grades. It's called my grades. Then click on it, and it should tell you something a little bit different. What do you see there? Yes, your Blackboard would look different. Would look different from mine, yeah, because I'm a professor. So Jordan has asked a question. Good question. Some of the quizzes on the midterms and quizzes that don't have correct answers or any feedback. Okay, so for the quizzes, after every quiz, I was giving you the right answer. After every quiz, so I was giving you the right answer after every quiz. For the midterms, we were not going over the midterms, and that's why we're gonna do it on Monday. On Monday, I'll go over both of the midterms and I'll show you all right answers. Okay. Okay. So again, tell me, can you please tell me when you go to like top right corner and when you go to my grades, do you see something which is called current final grade? And that should not be, I don't know, like a huge number divided by a huge number. Not like 2,600 by like 3,000.
For us, you have to go through tools for it to show up. You have to go tools and then click the like my grades icon. I did it from the top right corner. I didn't see it, but when you go through tools, you can.
Okay, so you did not see it here. This one, this icon, my grades.
No, I go to like the left part of like the like white box on the left part of the screen where like you click content and then you have to go
Uh-huh.
through.
1 second, hold on. Okay. So you're saying that you would go to our course first, right? And then let me try to replicate it. So you go here to the tools.
Yeah, and then there's like a little my grades icon.
Yes, yes. Okay. And like tell me, do you see the something which is called current final grade?
Yeah, up at the top is like the big number divided by the big number, but if you scroll down a little bit, there's another box highlighted in blue that says current final grade.
Yes, yes. And that's the one I'm talking about. Okay, and that's the one I'm talking about. Yes. It should be called current final grade. So not at the very top, not at the very beginning, but somewhere towards the bottom. As she just said. Okay, is there anyone who cannot see it? Okay, so one more time, we'll go to Blackboard, we'll go to our course, we'll go to tools here, tools on the left, we'll go to my grades, this one, my grades, okay? And then not at the very top, but towards the bottom somewhere, there should be a line in the blue, and that should be called current final grade, current final grade. Okay, perfect. Now let's go over the quiz, today's quiz. Okay, what we're talking about, what was the problem? We needed to basically add the matrices, right? And that's kind of what we discussed last time. That's what we discussed on Wednesday. Okay. Write Java code that does the following. Okay, number one, creates two 2D arrays of doubles, named A and B, okay, of sizes input by the user. Okay, cool. That's easy. So what do we need to do? We need to have a scanner, right? Import java.util.scanner, okay? And then create a scanner. Scanner input is equal to new scanner. System.in, okay? Then what's next? Okay, ask user for the sizes, right? Now here, of course, we have two. We're gonna have two matrices A and B, right? You may I mean, ideally, you should ask for number of columns, number of rows in A, number of columns, number of rows in B. So kind of like 4 times, ask for 4 numbers, okay? But you can do it only for the one, since we're going to be adding them together. Right? Okay. So ideally, when I say ideally is because in number 2, we're going to check if A and B have exactly the same number of rows and columns. Okay. If not, we're going to exit the program. If not, we're going to exit the program. Okay. So, but I would accept both, honestly. I would accept both. We're going to say system.out.println. Okay, please type number of rows for A. Okay. Number of rows for A, number of columns for B, for A, number of rows for B, and number of columns for B. Okay. And then here we're going to create 4 variables, and they're going to scan what the user types in. So int A rows, something like this, is equal to input dot text int. Okay. Then number of rows of A, we're going to scan it in the A rows. Number of columns for A, we're going to scan it into A columns. Number of rows for B, we're going to scan it in B rows. And number of columns for B, we're going to scan it in B columns. Okay. That will be the first step. So now we have 4 variables. The next step is we're going to create 2 matrices of doubles, right? So we're going to say double A, which is equal to U double. Okay. That A is going to contain A rows and A columns, right? Same thing for B. B rows and B columns. Okay. That makes sense, right? Nothing difficult so far. Okay, so again, just scan 4 numbers, A rows, A columns, B rows, B columns, and then create the 2 matrices, A and B. That'll be step number 1. Step number 2, checks if A and B have the same number of rows and columns. If not, exit the program. Okay. So what can we do here? We would have something like an if statement, right? So if they don't have the same number of rows and columns, if number of rows in A is not the same as number of rows in B, if number of columns in A is not the same as number of columns in B, then we're going to exit. Okay. So how do we do that? I mean, just comparing those 2 numbers, right? So A rows to B rows, A columns to B columns. Okay. If A rows is the same as B rows and A columns is the same as B columns, then we're good. Then we're going to continue our operation here. Otherwise, we're just going to exit the program, right? So maybe like have an else statement which is empty, maybe have some kind of an error message, okay, saying like error, cannot add matrices, okay, or just don't have anything at all. So just do it without the if statement, without the else. Just have an if. So if they're the same, then we're good. Okay, if they're different, then we can't do anything. Okay, that was step number 2. Step number 3, creates a matrix C of the same size. Okay, create matrix C. Okay, how do I do that? Same way, right, as here. Okay, double C, which is equal to new double. And here again, since A rows is the same as B rows, I can use A rows or B rows here. It's up to you. As since A columns is the same as B columns, we can use either A columns or B columns. Same thing, up to us, up to you, doesn't matter. Okay, so create a matrix C, and then we're going to do what? Add matrix A, matrix B to matrix C, similar to how we did in the class. Okay, how did we do in the class? We had 2 for loops, right? So here we were saying for int raw is equal to 0, raw is less than a, for example, a, right? But they're the same. Well, a rows, right? Yeah. So how many rows do we have? A rows. Okay, a rows. Okay, and then row plus plus. Same thing for the column. Column will go from 0 up until how many columns do we have? Okay, 8 columns. It'll be better. It'll be better to do what? It'll be better to say C of raw that length, and here also C that length. See that length. Okay. Why? Because in this case, we're not hard coding it, which means we're not relying on some kind of variables which may change the values. We actually rely on C itself. So C that length is going to tell us how many rows the C has. Because there is a danger that maybe something is going to happen to, let's say, a rows. Somebody will change that variable, I don't know, to 2 or something like this. And that's, of course, like going to screw up the rest of the code. So this is preferred. This is preferred. Of course, our application is pretty simple, right? It is definitely not going to happen. We're only going to have like 50 lines of code here. So, well, so that's not going to happen. Raw is equal, yeah, but yeah, 2 for loops. Row going from 0 to C that length, column going from 0 to C row that length. Okay, and then what are we doing here? We add an A and B to C, right? So we'd say C of raw column is equal to A of raw column plus B of raw column. Okay, and that's it. That's it. Let me try to run it. System.out.println 6-line print. Okay. Okay, please type number of rows for A. I don't know, let's do 4. Please number of columns for A, 4. Please type number of rows for B, 4, also 4. Index 4 out of bounds for length 4. Where is that? 23. Column. Okay, 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay, cool. That will show many errors. But also, you see, we created like 2 arrays, 2 matrices, and we don't have anything in them. So we have zeros there, right? Zeros. So basically adding zeros to zeros, we didn't really like create any random variables. We did not like fill them with any values. So kind of adding zeros to zeros. Okay. But still, so in terms of like answering these questions, that is the code, something similar to that. I would accept anything similar to that. What do you guys have any questions about this quiz? About the answers here? Okay, cool, perfect. So today, what we're studying today? Today I want to talk to you about. Oh, we have only like 15 minutes. Okay, so here's what one of the things I want to show you. Remember how we were talking about something which is called pass by value, right? Pass by value. Hold on. What is it called? Yes, pass by value. Okay, pass by value. And the opposite of that would be pass by reference. Reference. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between them. Okay, so when we're talking about pass by value, I was saying that you may have a separate method. Let's say you have a separate method. Let's say this is called inc, which kind of like stands for increment, right? And we're accepting a variable called x. Okay. And now here, if I create a variable x, which is going to be equal to 1, okay, then if I call that, yeah, and then here, let's say I'm doing x plus plus, and then return x. Okay. And then from the main method, I'm going to call my inc method. Okay. And then the question I have always is that what's going to happen to x? What's going to happen to x? So for example, if I have a print out x here, okay, x is equal to plus x. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, so think about this. I'm going to have one, the first statement, and then second statement. I created a variable called x that's equal to 1. Then I printed this out, right? So it's obvious that right here it's going to be 1. Okay, so I think no doubt about that. And then I'm calling this method and passing x there, passing x, right? So this one, this x is being passed here. Then here inside of the method, I'm incrementing it. Then here I'm returning it back. Okay. And then here I am doing what? I am just printing this out. So it's obvious that here it's going to be 1. Now the question which we were discussing before, are we going to have 1 here or 2 here for the second printout? What do you guys think? Tell me. Is that going to be 1 or 2? So one more time. If I have a variable x which is equal to 1, okay, then I'm printing this out. Of course, I'm going to print out 1, right? So if I run this, you'll see that x is equal to 1, right? No doubt, no doubt. And then I'm going to call that increment method, which makes Java jump over here. I'm going to pass that x. So this is going to be my x. I'm going to increment that x. So it's going to become 2, all right? And then I'm going to return x. And then after that, or maybe, you know, like, let's make it void. Let's make it void. So just, I'm going to pass that x. It's going to be incremented, and then jumping back, right? And then printing out x. So the question is, x here, is that going to be 2 or 1? The answer is, it's going to be 1. It's not going to be 2. 1. Okay, in both cases, it's 1. Now, again, you may be thinking like, but how is it 1? Like, isn't it incremented here? So it shouldn't become 2. And then when we jump it back, it should again be 1. No. Again, here what happens is that we are passing value. We're not passing x. We're not passing x. But first, I will talk about the scope of the variables. This variable is a local variable to the main method. It's created here, right? And the scope of that variable is from the moment when it was created up until the end of the method. Okay. For this method, this one is an argument. So the scope of that variable is the whole method. So you see, this x is valid here. This x is valid here only, right? Those x's have nothing to do with each other. And when I'm passing x here, I'm not passing the variable x. I'm passing 1. I'm passing value. So I'm passing by value. I'm passing value of x. This x has nothing to do with this x. Okay, and that's why it's actually better to call them different names to make it less confusing. So here we're not passing x, we're passing the value of x, we're passing 1. And then that 1 is being assigned to a, and then a is being incremented to 2, and then a dies here, right? Then when we're jumping back, there is no A, and then we're printing out X, but X is still 1. Okay, and that's why it's going to be 1 here, it's going to be 1 here. Does that make sense? Would you guys have any questions about that? That is called pass by value, meaning that we're not passing X, we're passing a value of X. And here, when we come in here, there is no X, like there is some kind of random variable. It may be called, let's say, X, okay, but it has nothing to do with that X. So no matter what you do here, it's not going to affect the value of X. Why? Again, because we're just, I don't know, again, dropping the value of X, not X itself. Okay, now this is different from something which is called pass by reference. Whenever we're talking about primitive data types like int, double, string, character, all the data types that start with lowercase letters, like character, for example, again, double, right, short, float, all that. Yeah, so we're passing the value. However, whenever we're talking about something more complex, which is, for example, an array, that's different, and there we're passing the reference. So now let's try to change this in a way such that we're not going to pass X, but we're going to pass, we're not going to pass just one integer, we're going to pass an array of integers. So we're going to make X our array, okay? And we're going to add some values there, like 1, 5, 7, 9, for example. And then we're going to say print out X of, let's say, which one do we want to print out? Let's say X of 0. X of 0, and then here we're going to print out X of 0. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Int X is equal to this. Then we're printing out just X of 0. What's X of 0? The very first element, okay, which is going to be 1, right? No surprises. Perfect. Then next, we're going to, in our increment method, we're going to accept an array of variables, array of integers. Let's call it X to make it more confusing. Okay, let's call it X. And then here, I'm going to increment X of 0, which means I'm going to increment that 1 to 2. Okay. Okay, perfect. And now the question is here for X of 0, what are we going to see? Are we going to see the value 1? Because this X has nothing to do with this X, or something different, or we're going to see 2. Okay, so again, when I was talking about a regular variable, just one variable, not an array, right? We clearly said that this X has nothing to do with that X. Here we're passing value of X, which is 1, right? And that's why no matter what I do here, it's not going to change anything to X. That's what used to be true when we're talking about one variable only. Now here we have an array of variables, array. Okay, and now here you see 2. You see 2, right? So when we have arrays or some kind of some other complex data structures, like array is one of them, we're not passing the value of that array here. We're passing a reference. So what does that mean? What does that mean to have a reference? A reference is basically address in the memory. So obviously, when we run this code, if, an array X is stored somewhere in our RAM, in our random access memory. So if I try to draw that, imagine, I don't know, that this triangle, this rectangle is our RAM. So all the memory is there, right? Now, when I created an array X, what happened? Is somewhere in the RAM, they allocated some number of bytes, okay, 4 bytes per integer, 4 integers, so like 16 bytes, they allocated 16 bytes, and they placed those 1, 5, 7, 9 there. 1, 5, 7, 9 there. And now this is called X. It's called X. Okay, so whenever you're referencing, whenever you're talking about X, what happens is that we're talking about the memory address in the memory where this 1579 is located. Okay, and then here, whenever you want to print out x of 0, what happens is that Java finds x, then it follows this arrow, it finds the location in the memory where these array is located, and then it looks for the 0th element in the array, which is this one, and it prints that out. And then what happens is the following: whenever we call in the method inc and we pass in x, now, since we have something more complex than just one number, what Java is going to do, Java is not going to pass values, it's going to pass the reference, which means basically it's going to pass the address of this array or that X or that arrow. There are multiple ways of thinking about it, but basically it's going to pass where that X is located, where that array is located. So now this X is also going to point to exactly the same location in the memory. So it's also going to be looking at 1579. And now when we're trying to change x of 0 plus plus, we're also changing this one. We're changing this one to 2. So this one becomes 2. Then we are exiting this method. So we're done there. So we're jumping over here. And now when we come into this line of code, again, we're talking about this x. Now this x goes to the same location in the memory, and now that 1 was changed to 2, and that's why it prints out 2. And that is called passing the reference. So whenever we're passing an array into a method, we're not passing a value or values, we're passing the reference, which means we're basically saying, hey, like inc method, your array is located at this address. Please find it at that address. And then that method creates a variable array called x. It points to the same location as this x was pointing at. And then when you do x of 0 plus plus, you following this x, you following this arrow, it points exactly the same way as this arrow. We'd go to that 1, changing that to 2, okay, and then we incrementing that 1 to 2, okay, then we exiting, and then we want to print out x of 0. So this x is this x already, right? Again, we're following this arrow, we will go to exactly the same location in the memory, and then we see that that 1 was changed to 2, so we're printing out 2. That is called pass by reference. Pass by reference. Does that make sense? What do you guys have any questions about that? Okay. So again, if I was passing, so let's say I have some kind of int y, or let's say the double y equals 5.5. Okay, and then here double y, and then here I say y plus plus. Okay, and then maybe let me remove these two print statements. Okay, so here when I'm passing an array, I'm passing the reference to an array. I'm passing the address in the memory. Okay, that's why when I'm changing this x is also being changed. Okay, now here when I'm passing y, since y is a primitive data structure, so it's just a simple variable, I'm not passing a reference to y, I'm passing a value of y. So that is passed by value, which means this 5.5 is going to be passed here. This y is going to be incremented to 6.5, and then this y is going to die there, and this y is not going to be changed. So when I jump over here back, if I try to, let's say, print out y, this y is still going to be 5.5. Why? Because I passed value. I didn't pass y, I passed value. I passed value of y. And for x, I'm passing an array, which means I'm passing a reference to an array. And that's why changing this is going to affect this. Is going to affect this one. So this is passed by value versus passed by reference. Pass by value versus pass by reference. Okay. What time is it? Okay, awesome. 998. We didn't have any slides. Okay, so I'm going to upload only the Zoom recording to YouTube, and I'll send you a link to it. Would you guys have any questions, concerns about the rest of the class? Is there anything you want to discuss? Do we turn in our notes today or after Monday's class? Good question. Good question. Yes, I'll create a submission. I'll ask you guys to turn in the notes for the last, I don't know how many, like 10, 15 lectures next week. Next week. And I would appreciate if you actually make it like one PDF of it, like one PDF out of it. And yeah, we'll just make it a lot easier to grade for me. Any other questions? My quiz 5 is ungraded. Ungraded. Yes, I'll need to take a look at it then. Yes, of course. Yes, yeah, I'll definitely grade it. Joy, number 5. Okay, I'll make a note. Okay. Anything else? Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So in this case, I hope you guys enjoyed the class. I'll see you on Monday. Again, I'm going to be going over first midterm, second midterm. And if you have any other questions, maybe about some other quizzes or something else, I'll be glad to answer them before the final. Okay. That's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.